Oh hi. Mali. The state in the Western Africa which doesn't have an outlet to the sea. Borders in the west on Senegal, in the north, on Mauritania and Algeria, in the east, on Niger, in the southeast, on Burkina Faso, in the south, on Côte d'Ivoire and Guinea. The northeast part of the Republic of Mali is controlled by Islamists from the Ansar ad-Din group connected with Al-Qaeda, earlier the unrecognized independent state of Azawad, which authorities after loss of control over this territory announced transition to the idea of autonomy of the region was proclaimed here. The toponym of Mali comes from the name of the medieval empire of Mali, which existed in the territory of the country in the 13th, 17th centuries. Sources of the 9th century mention the state formation of Malil in the 7th, 13th centuries as Mali and Mali. The value of a toponym isn't finalized. Presumably, they can go back to the word of language, the Mandinka of Mali, hippopotamus. In ancient times, the territory of Mali was the house for numerous West African kingdoms, including Ghana, Songhay and Mali, from which I received the name present Mali. The kingdom Ghana was originally founded by Berbers, but soon the power was concentrated on Akant, the saying Soninka. Soninke's Tsars never completely accepted Islam, though they had good relations with Muslim merchants. Domination of the kingdom Ghana began to weaken at the end of the 11th century when into the region began to get Almoravida. The provision of Islam in the region amplified, and since then it is religion of Mali. The capital of the kingdom Ghana, Tumbi Salah, was destroyed in 1203. Malaya received the name from the kingdom of Mali located in this region. Modern Mandinka occurred from its inhabitants. The kingdom strongly grew during Sundiat Keit's government in the 13th century. In the best years, the kingdom of Mali covered much more extensive territory than now, from the coast of the Atlantic Ocean to the mouth of Niger and Timbuktu. The kingdom consisted of the won and conquered territories. During Mans Musa's government at the beginning of the 14th century, the cities of Timbuktu and Jan became the important centers of trade and Islam. Mans, the title meaning the king. The kingdom prospered thanks to trade in gold, ivory, slaves and I will merge. The kingdom Songhay occupied the kingdom of Mali in the 15th century. Reached the peak during government of the king Askia Muhammad I at a turn of the 15th and 16th centuries. At the time, the kingdom included extensive territories on lands of modern Nigeria. The most part of present Mali was located in the territory of the kingdom Songhay. At the end of the kingdom Songhay there was both internal and external pressure, including attack of the Moroccan Berbers in 1591. In the 18th century the city of Segu became the center of the kingdom of Bambara. It included in particular the present cities of Blan, Jan, Mok, Timbuktu and Segu. In 1861 the kingdom of Bambara gave way to the kingdom of Tupular founded Al-Hai by Umar Tal, which also broke up several decades later. The French arrived in Mali about 1880. They sought to make Mali the colony. Resistance of locals stopped in 1898 when the soldier Raspberry Samori Tour got beaten after 7 years' war. Mali was a part of the French Western Africa under the name French Sudan. In 1958 the country received autonomy and joined the French community. Communauté Française. As the autonomous state, the country was called the Republic of the Sudan. In January 1959 it joined Senegal, having formed Federation of Mali. The Federation of Mali, formed by the French Sudan and Senegal, became independent on June 20, 1960, but this union broke up on August 20, 1960 when became Mali the certain state. On September 22 the country also left the French community and replaced the name on the Republic of Mali. Date is considered an Independence Day in Mali. Islamic fighters battle against the Malian government in civil war of 2012. Modibo Keïta became the first president independent to Mali. In 1968 there was a military coup, as a result of which Keïta was overthrown by the General Moussa Traoré and spent the life rest in prison. In 1979 Traoré made the Democratic Union of the Malian People, DUMP, the only legitimate party in the country. At the beginning of 1991 the economic situation in the country sharply became aggravated owing to the reforms undertaken under pressure of the International Monetary Fund, which led to noticeable decrease in already low standard of living. The population even more often began to demand resignation of the head of state and abolition of a one-party system. On March 21, between protesters and security forces, collisions began. People began to construct on streets of the capital of a barricade and to chant anti-governmental slogans. After the first blood was shed, Traoré declared a state of emergency in the country. Heavy machinery which engaged with civilians was entered into the city. Not less than 150 people died. On March 26, military Interim Committee of National Rescue stripped of power the president. He tried to leave the country, but it was arrested and dismissed DN. By Traoré it was sentenced to death in 1993 and 1999, but both sentences were replaced with life imprisonment. After his dismissal from the power of Mali turned into multi-party democracy. The existing constitution of the country was adopted on January 12, 1992. On June 8, 1992, on the first free elections in the country, Alpha Oumar Konaré was elected the third president of Mali. He was re-elected in 1997, but in June 2002 he was replaced Amadou by Toumani Touré, who was elected for the second 5-year term in 2007 subsequently. In 2013 Ibrahim Keïta was elected the president. In 2012 the revolt of Tuaregs in the north of Mali amplified because of arms supplies from Libya filled with civil war. In March 2012 the Malian army declared that it seized power in the country and stripped of power the President Touré, but intends to restore the civil power after elections. In April 2012 Tuareg insurgents declared creation of the state of Azawad in the north of the country. By the end of June the Ansar Islamist group Dain expelled insurgents of Tuaregs from all cities in the north of Mali. Fighters began to destroy historical monuments of Timbuktu, which, as they claimed, represent idolatry. At the end of July 2012 in the north of Mali, the first Pobaveni stones during which the living together couple was executed took place. Insurgents promoted to the central regions of the country. Approach of radical Islamists in Mali caused concern in the region and in the West, but the United States didn't want to dispatch troops to the country for a fight against threat of Al-Qaeda. The countries of the Western Africa requested from the Union permission to the military operation on exile of extremist Islamists from Mali. Operation was authorized by the Union Security Council. France began the military operation. Operation Serval in Mali at the request of the government on January 11, 2013. In January 2013, it seemed that a headlong war between the French and Islamists. By the end of January, the French and African troops occupied at insurgents many cities. France gradually reduces the forces and shifts responsibility to the Union and other African countries. At the same time, the European Union began to assist in training of Mali army. In August 2018, Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta, the president of Mali since 2013, was re-elected. In April 2019, Bouba Sis was appointed the Prime Minister of Mali after resignation of the previous government after renewal of ethnic violence in the country. In August 2020, Keïta and Sis were arrested by military insurgents. After Keïta's arrest, I declared the resignation and dissolution of the government and parliament of the country. He was brought to military base of Kotia, from where I read the statement for the resignation on television, and then went to O. On May 24, 2021, Malian military arrested the interim president of the country Ouanda, the Prime Minister Mokhtar Ould, and the Minister of Defense General Souleymane Doukoure. The refusal of the President and Prime Minister to include Colonels Modibo Kone and Sadio Kamara, active participants of a last year's military coup in the structure of the transitional government, was the reason. Niger River proceeding in the southern and central parts of the country forms the important waterway. Northern parts of Mali are generally located in the Sahara Desert. To the south there is the Sahelo Savannah. In the northeast there are mountains. During droughty seasons from the Sahara the trade wind harmattan blows, causing sandstorms. Region of Mali generally low. The highest point of the country, Humbari Tonda, at the height of 1155 meters above sea level. The most densely populated city of Mali, the capital of Bamako, with the population to 529,300. 2019. Other large cities are included: Ségou, Bisakasso, Mopti, Gao and Kayes. Ségou and Mopti, located along Niger River, are important seaports and the fishing centers. Mali has the area of 1,240,278 km. What does it by the 23rd largest country in the world and the 8th largest country in Africa? Almost all western, central and northern parts of the country. Over 90% of the territory is occupied by the plain 200-500 m high. In the north there is stony, sandstony or pebble Sahara deserts. Climate on the most part of the territory of Mali, tropical desert; in the south, subequatorial. Average annual temperature of 28-29 C, with insignificant fluctuations on months. The longest river in the country, Niger. The river Senegal and her inflows flow on the southwest. In Mali there are such lakes as Fadjibine, Tu, Niangai, Djibo and Kararu. Nearly a half of the territory in the north of the country are occupied by the shrubby and Zloko shrubby Sahara deserts. To the south, the Opustaneni savanna with acacias, cereals, baobabs, palm trees of thoughts. To the south, there are typical savannas. In the extreme south, the woody savanna. Large antelopes, small gazelles, giraffes, cheetahs, hyenas are found in northern deserts and semi-deserts. It is a lot of reptiles. Geckos, saintsinki, monitor lizards, snakes. In savannas, different types of antelopes, warthogs, lions, leopards, jackals, elephants. The number of elephants is reduced. Crocodiles, hippopotamuses are found in the rivers. It is a lot of fish. Insects, termites, wild bees, mosquitoes, a midge, a tsetse fly are widespread. In Mali, several nature protection territories are created. Among them, one national park is Bokal du Bal. Mali, the semi-presidential republic. The multi-party system, which only restriction is that parties can't rely on any ethnic, religious or regional group works in the country. The National Assembly, the only legislature in administration. 160 dicks and 8 political parties are its part. 147 dicks are elected on districts. Other 13 which live abroad are chosen malians. The number of representatives in each administrative region depends on the population of the area and is elected each 5 years. According to the Constitution of Mali of 1992, the head of state and the commander-in-chief of armed forces is the president, who is elected by direct universal suffrage for 5 years. The president can hold a position no more than 2 terms in a row. All people have the right to vote 21 years or more senior. Women have the right to vote since 1956. The dick of her successor, the African Union, was Mali II, one of the first dicks of the Organization of African Unity. On May 25, 1963. And now, the country is a member of the Union since September 28, 1960. The death penalty is the punishment allowed by the Constitution of Mali, but since 1980 executions were practically not held. The Tuaregs living in northern parts of Mali demanded bigger autonomy for the territories. There were large revolts of Tuaregs in 1962, 1964, 1990, 1995, 2007, 2009, 2012. In January 2012, disorders flashed again, and the ANACA reports that 2,000 people left Mali as refugees in neighboring countries. The territory of Mali is divided into regions, areas and municipalities. This is Gao, Kayes, Kidal, Koulikoro, Mopti, Segu, Sikassa and Timbuktu, and also underlying Manaka and Towden. The capital of Bamako forms the certain area. Mali, one of the poorest countries of the world. Her gross internal product makes $926 per capita. 2018. About 10% of the population wander, and 80% of labor are engaged in agriculture or fishery. Besides, some women live at the expense of pottery. 65% of the earth are a desert and the semi-desert, therefore agriculture is substantially limited to vicinities of Niger River. The economy of Mali depends on the foreign help and world market prices of cotton. In 2006, gold, cotton and cattle made 80–90% of export revenue of Mali. Agriculture is concentrated on self-sufficiency grain, a millet, a sorghum and corn. For example, dried fish is exported from Mali to other countries of the Western Africa, such as Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana. Malian cotton is exported generally to Switzerland. The industry in the country isn't enough, and she is generally focused on production of salt and also on the shoe and textile industry. Expenses almost twice exceed income. Mali. It was approved by the International Monetary Fund in 1999 for the program for the poor countries with large debt. HIPC. In her means which will go for reduction of an external debt are used for poverty reduction. Currency of Mali, CFA franc, which is also currency of 13 other countries of the Western and Central Africa. Currency cost is tied to euro now. The most important trade partners of Mali are Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, China and the countries of the European Union. In 1994 Mali was one of founder members of the West African Economic and Currency Union. Export in 2017, $3.036 billion is the exporter of cotton, largest in the region, and takes the third place in Africa on gold mining. In addition, also from the country the live cattle and products of cattle breeding is taken up. Gold is the main source of income. In recent years in the country about 50 tons of gold a year are extracted, that makes 20% of DDD of the country and about 70% of export. As of 2006 reserves of Mali gold are estimated at 600-800 tons. The main share of fields is located in two areas. The Falim Belt on the western border of the country and or the region of Bigo in the south of the country. The basin of the Bigo River. By 2005 on fields of the Falim Belt about 170 tons of gold were extracted. In 2011 gold mining revenues increased more than by 20%. Having reached $475 million, 43.5 tons of gold, in comparison with 46 tons in 2010 and 53.7 tons in 2009 were extracted. Following the results of 2016, Mali takes the 15th place in the world and the third in Africa on the total amount of gold mining, -49.8 t. However, according to official data in 2017, this indicator will decrease approximately to 49 t. In total at the moment in Mali about 10 large industrial gold mining mines work. The main buyers. In 2017. Switzerland -31.8%, the EU -15.4%, Burkina Faso -7.8%, Côte d'Ivoire -3%, the Republic of South Africa -5%. Import in 2017, $3.891 billion. Products of mechanical engineering and chemical industry, oil products, transport equipment, industrial goods, food, textiles. The main suppliers. In 2017. Senegal -24.4%, China -13.2%, Côte d'Ivoire -9%, France -7.3%. The Act enters into the international organization of the countries. According to a census of 2009, 14,528,662 persons, from them 54% women live in Mali. Average population density makes 11.7 people per square kilometer. More than a half of Malians live in the southern areas of Sikasso, Koulikoro and Ségou, while in the northern districts of Timbuktu, Gao and Kidal lives less than 10% of the population of the country. A share of urban population minus 22.5%. The capital and the largest city of Mali, Bamako. Nomads make 0.92% of the population. Population of the country very young. The share of persons is younger than 15 years makes 46.6%, persons aged from 15 up to 64 years minus 48.4%, 65 years minus 3.2% are more senior than persons. Annual increase in population is 3.6%. In the last decades, growth of the population accelerated. 1.7% during the period from 1976 to 1987 and 2.2% during the period from 1987 to 1998. At present rates, the population of Mali will double almost in 20 years. The expected life expectancy in 2015 is estimated at Mali approximately in 55 years. Men have a little less than at women. According to the report of WHO for 2015, infantile mortality is very high. 11.5% of Malian children die aged up to 5 years. By estimates of 2013, 0.86% of the population are infected with HIV. Middle age minus 16 years. In 2015, the number of the competent population was estimated at 38.7% of people 15 years or more senior. At men, the literacy level 48.2%. Then at women 29.2% is higher. In the context of Ebola epidemic in the Western Africa in 2014 in the country, the separate cases of Ebola related to the man going from Guinea to Mali were revealed. About 50% of Malians represent the people a Mandinka, including Bambara in the western and central parts of the country, a Mandinka in the southwest, Soninke border with Mauritania, and a Dioula in east cities. The second largest group is Tué Fulbe, living in semi-nomadic families, especially in the central part of the country. 17% of the population. To the southeast, a Dogona and a Bean. 12%. 6%. They live along an average watercourse Niger and Tuaregs and Moors. 10%. To the south from the Sahara. Ethnic groups of the country often live side by side in the same areas. Their coexistence is based on religion, local identity, intergroup cooperation and division of labor. So, for example, Bambara grow up a millet, the sorghum and rice and gate, and Tué Fulbe bozo fishing. Dioula trade is engaged in livestock production. Tension between groups is shown in dissatisfaction of victims of a drought of Tuaregs and Moors with political and economic system in which the southern Mandakanets dominate. Official language of Mali is French, which is used in administration, at school and as a link between ethnic groups of the country. Most of inhabitants speak Bambara. It is used also as language of administration in Massachusetts media. Bambara understands about 80% of the population of Mali. Ethnologue distinguishes 66 languages which speak in Mali, 62 of which are the family for this region, also 4 from other places. 6 of them are considered as disappearing. The majority of languages belong to Nigerian Congolese language group. Writing exists only in the Arab and Tuareg languages, but recently the systems of the letter were developed also for other languages. According to a census of 2009, speak Bambara to 46.3% of the population of the country. 62.9% in the cities. Efoba -9.4%, Idogonia -7.2%, Asaninka -6. 4%, Imandinkan -5.6%, Iminyanka 4.3%, Tuarexkia Itamashakia of 3.5%, 2.6%, 2.1%, Ibazo of 1.9%, Ihasanka of 1.2% and Mauritian 1.1%. Religion of Mali, Sunni Islam, which extended to a northern part of the country since the 11th century. Timbuktu, Chen and Gao were the known centers of Islamic science in the Middle Ages. In the southern parts of the country most of the population didn't address in Muslim till times of colonial board. On a population census of 2009 of Muslims of 94.8% of the population. There are 2.4% of Christians and animists of 2.0%. There are Christians, especially among Dogon and Abin. About 2/3 from them Catholics, and 1/3 Protestants. The traditional religion is practiced by some Beans, Senufe, Mianiana and Dogona. The Constitution of Mali guarantees freedom of worship and defines the country as secular. In the 12th century at the Sankore University close to the Mosque Sankore in Timbuktu, more than students from the different countries studied. The Sankore University also continues to work. The first schools in modern understanding were created by the French colonialists, and children of the Malian leaders captured became the first pupils. Such schools were called schools of sons of leaders. At the beginning of the 20th century, the French administration made great efforts for distribution of primary and secondary education in the territory of Mali. Education was conducted completely in French. After independence, finding the number competent constantly increased, while before finding of independence of only 7% of children attended school. The Centers for Elimination of Illiteracy for Adults were created. On a census of 2009 of competent 15 years or more senior, there are 27.7%, 19.8% of women. The school system includes the 6-year elementary school and a 6-year gymnasium divided into 2 levels. At higher level, students can choose between either 3-year technical school or 4-year professional school. Training 16 years, free for children. It also is obligatory under the law, but not all attend school. In 2009 the school was attended by 68.4% of children of younger school age. The girl of 65.0%. Training is conducted generally in French. The Mali University. Since 2006. The University of Bamako was founded in 1993. About 8,000 students came to it in 2010-2011 academic year. With the purpose to place the growing number of students in 2011, the university was divided into 4 campuses. The University of Science, Equipment and Technology to Bamako, the University of Arts and Humanities to Bamako, the University of Social Sciences and Management to Bamako, and the University of the Right and Political Sciences in Bamako. In 2009, the Séguy University was created. Other colleges include the College of Administration, founded in 1958, Agricultural School Katabugu, the Higher Pedagogical School for Average Teachers, and Technical College of Abdurrahman Baby Tour. The first regional university was founded in Séguy in 2012. From the moment of independence, finding the political management, Mali sought to create uniform Malian culture, having overcome breeding and language borders. However, politicians were criticized for the fact that they emphasized tradition of the people a Mandinka to the detriment of other ethnic groups. Culture was defined by a small educated elite of the country which sought to estimate needs of big, partially illiterate population. Mali traditionally is considered one of the intellectual centers, French-speaking Africa. In Mali there was even the writer, Yambu Uloham, who published the book, Cruelty Debt, which got the Renaudot Literary Award in the 1960th years. However, this award turned back popular subsequently for jury when it was found out that the text of the book was forbidden to sale in France according to the court verdict, which satisfied the claim of the British writer Green, the real author of the text. The original text, borrowed by Yambu Uloham as it appeared, was published many years ago in England. In Mali there are several newspapers in French, including the State 50s, founded in 1949. However, the value of the press is small. Broadcasting is provided with the public administration of Radio Diffusion Television of Mali, created in 1957, and a number of the local radio stations created after 1992. Telecasting in the country began in 1983. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.